Hello everyone, and welcome to the first Newcastle upon Tyne Unitarians live Facebook stream service. This is a bit of an experiment, obviously. I guess I'm doing that classic internet thing of broadcasting from the bedroom. Naturally, we'd all prefer to be, I think, in our church buildings, but that's not necessarily the safest thing to be doing right now. So we're giving it a go on Facebook. So I'd like to start by saying a big thank you to Diana Bebby, who put this service together, and to everybody in our congregation who contributed. It's maybe a little bit strange to be talking like this because I can't see you, but I hope anyone who's listening is enjoying themselves. And I'm thinking of you all on this day. So firstly, I'm going to light our chalice. And this is a little one I keep at home. There we go. So now let's all just take a few moments in prayer to think about our mothers and everybody who has mothered us, whether they gave birth, adopted, were an aunt, a sister, a beloved family friend, a grandmother, anyone who cared for all of us and who mothered us. And now we're going to start with a brief history of the origins of Mothering Sunday. Mother's Day and Mothering Sunday are distinct from one another. Mothering Sunday is the fourth Sunday of Lent. During the 16th century, people returned to their mother church, which was either the church where you'd been baptised or the nearest cathedral. Anyone who did this was commonly said to have gone a-mothering. In later times, Mothering Sunday became a day when domestic servants were given a day off to visit their mother church, usually with their own mothers and their family members. It was often the only time that entire families could gather together, since on other days they were prevented from doing so by having conflicting working hours. The children often picked wild flowers along the way, either to place in the church or to give to their mothers. Mothering Sunday was also known as Refreshment Sunday because the fasting rules for Lent were relaxed that day, and there are many traditional foods associated with this day, such as simnel cake, mothering buns, sweet bread buns topped with icing and hundreds and thousands, a recipe for which can be found on a blog called Simple Things, and I'll post a link to that after the service, and carlings, which are a type of fried peas pudding pancake. Mother's Day, on the other hand, is a modern secular day. It was first celebrated in 1908 when an American woman called Anna Jarvis held a memorial for her mother at St. Andrew's Methodist Church in Grafton, West Virginia. Her mother, Anne Reeves Jarvis, had been a peace activist who cared for wounded soldiers on both sides of the American Civil War, and who created Mother's Day work clubs to address public health issues. She died in 1905, and Anna Jarvis wanted to honour her mother by continuing the work she started, and to set aside a day to honour all mothers because she believed a mother is the person who has done more for you than anyone in the world. Her campaign to have an official day led to all US states observing the holiday by 1911. So I've introduced this day of Mother's Day, and it's a happy day for many people. But in recent years, there has also been a bit of a trend towards what's sometimes called Mothering Sunday runaways, a service where we acknowledge that for many people, the idea of motherhood is a difficult one. People may not have always had a good relationship with their mothers, or may have been deprived of their mothers, or may be very sad because they have hoped to become mothers and have not been able to. So I'm now going to do a short reading. This is Mother's Day Runaways by Reverend Sonia Dora from Liverpool Cathedral. Reverend Sonia's story. Despite being a mum to 3 gorgeous boys, I find Mother's Day services in church, at best somewhat cheesy, usually uncomfortable, and at worst painful. I have 3 beautiful boys. They are my adopted children. Each of my boys has multiple mums. One is their birth mum, at least one foster mother, and me, their forever mum. The run-up to Mothering Sunday, the day itself and the aftermath can be very unsettling. Their powerlessness in the process of being taken into care, in being moved from one foster carer to another, and in the limited communication they have with their other mothers, means that Mothering Sunday, as we celebrate, brings up some very conflicted feelings for them and for me. Nearly every church we've been part of has given flowers out, asking the children to come and collect them, to give them initially to their own mother, and then to the other women. As I've watched my boys collect flowers and walk toward me, it's always laced with a peculiar adoptive mother guilt. These flowers should be going to the mum who grieves that her boys were taken from her. These flowers should be going to the foster carers. Of course, we celebrate the joy of adoption, but the complexities of helping my children sustain relationships with multiple mothers makes Mothering Sunday very difficult. I want to bring the shadows into the light, to allow the difficulties of motherhood to be present with what I know as God with me. But I find Mothering Sunday services usually so focused on the light that I can't find my truth. It has been a growing desire to find a way to worship God, whilst acknowledging the grief and pain that can surround mothering for many. My hope is that our Mother's Day Runaways is a service for those wanting to find God's presence in the midst of their grief. My hope is that Mother's Day Runaways will give me the opportunity to explore the complexities of my own role as mother and daughter. And now, Lizzie's story. I am a vicar's wife who avoids the same church service every year. I love Jesus, and I know that he loves me, but for 7 years I have not attended church on Mothering Sunday because I believed it was the one day I didn't belong there. 6 miscarriages, 6 very big unanswered prayers, and a deep grief suffocating my soul led me to believe I had no place in a church service celebrating motherhood. My story enabled to earn me a daffodil, so why bother attending? On my darkest days, my avoidance of church reminded me of not only my failure as a woman, as I saw it, but as a Christian woman. I felt it was telling me I had no place in the body of Christ. On lighter days, I was just very angry that every year my church held a service that caused me so much pain. I used to think I was the only person to skip church when it hurt too much, but when I started to write about my story, I realised I wasn't alone. Every year there are people all over the country who decide not to go to church on Mothering Sunday and other Sundays because they believe their story doesn't belong there. I know the history of Mothering Sunday. I know it has nothing to do with fertility, but it doesn't make the day any less painful. Somehow, through the years and the rise of Hallmark-sponsored celebrations, the Church has unintentionally created and sustained a tradition that isolates those who are grieving. Last year I was sat in a room full of local missional leaders with the cathedral's bishop, Paul, where we shared what our dream church would be like, and the majority of people in that room talked about a place where mourning and rejoicing could exist side by side. They talked of communities where you could be yourself rather than keep pretending, of families that embraced vulnerability, of a spiritual home for people's stories, whatever they might be. Mothering Sunday is historically seen as one of those days for celebration, and of course the Church, all spiritual communities, should celebrate. But I don't believe joy should trump grief. nor the celebration of the majority ignore the pain of the minority. The Church is called to rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn throughout the year, not just on special occasions. I believe the Church has a gift to offer our communities in providing them the space to grieve as well as rejoice. That is why we hold our Mother's Day Runaway service, a safe space for those who find Mothering Sunday difficult, an opportunity to acknowledge their pain and remind them they are not alone, and that they are important and valued members of the spiritual family, with or without children, with or without a mother. And I found that a very meaningful piece. Obviously, it's from the Anglican Christian tradition, but I'm striving to learn from different Christian and spiritual traditions all across the world, both within our own country and outside it. And I found that very moving because it's a challenge, I think, for all of us to try and create communities that bring people together, and often to think about how we might be inadvertently excluding people. And I'm hoping that we can continue to develop our services in ways that help everyone to feel included. Let's all take a moment just to remember what Mothering Sunday might mean for us, be it happy or sad. And now, starting to move toward the end. On a lighter note, here is a story found by Maurice Large. The author is unknown. A few months ago, when I was picking up the children at school, another mother I knew well rushed up to me. Emily was fuming with indignation. "Do you know what you and I are?" she demanded. Before I could answer, and I didn't really have an answer handy, she blurted out the reason for her question. It seemed she had just returned from renewing her driver's licence at the county clerk's office. Asked by the female recorder to state her occupation, Emily had hesitated, uncertain how to classify herself. "What I mean is," explained the recorder, "do you have a job, or are you just a—" "Of course I have a job," snapped Emily. "I'm a mother." "We don't list mother as an occupation. Housewife covers it," said the recorder emphatically. I forgot all about her story until one day I found myself in the same situation, this time at our own town hall. The clerk was a career woman, poised, efficient, and possessed of a high-sounding title, like town registrar, or perhaps official interrogator. "And what is your occupation?" she probed. What made me say it, I do not know. The words simply popped out. "I'm a research associate in the field of child development and human relations." The clerk paused, ballpoint pen frozen in midair, and looked up as though she had not heard right. I repeated the title slowly, emphasizing the most significant words. Then I stared with wonder as my pompous pronouncement was written in bold black ink on the official questionnaire. "Might I ask," said the clerk with new interest, "just what do you do in your field?" Coolly, without any trace of fluster in my voice, I heard myself reply, "I have a continuing programme of research," what mother doesn't, "in the laboratory and the field." Normally I would have said indoors and out. "I'm working for my masters," the whole darn family, "and already have 4 credits, all daughters. Of course, the job is one of the most demanding in the humanities. I'm sure no mother would disagree. And I often work 14 hours a day. Actually, 24 hours is a bit more like it. But the job is more challenging than most run-of-the-mill careers, and the rewards are in satisfaction rather than just money." There was an increasing note of respect in the clerk's voice as she completed the form, stood up, and personally ushered me to the door. As I drove into the driveway, buoyed up by my glamorous new career, I was greeted by my lab assistants, age 13, 7, and 3. And upstairs I could hear our new experimental model, 6 months, in the child development program testing out a new vocal pattern in the bedroom. I felt triumphant. I had scored a beat on bureaucracy, and I had gone down on the official records as someone more distinguished and indispensable to mankind than just another. So I'm now going to read out some closing words and extinguish our chalice. Then we will have a piece of music chosen by Brian Johnson. So now, as we extinguish this chalice, the physical flame has gone out, but the chalice is lit in our hearts. Its light will shine within us until such time as we can meet again.